Welcome to the Lifestyle Overland Story. In this chapter of travels, my 11-year-old daughter Caroline and I are headed north on a very special trek to one of our most favorite places in the world, Alaska. 7 days from now, we'll be joining up with some friends in Anchorage before loading up our vehicles on a ferry to access the infamous and remote island of Kodiak. But first, we've got a little bit of driving ahead of us, so ride along. Ever since our first trip to the Arctic in 2018, we have been in love with the last frontier and have returned multiple times for more Alaskan explorations and several of the overland rentals available through Alaska Overlander, where our good friends Craig and Brooke maintain a fleet of fully kitted Toyotas for those wanting to fly up and explore this magical landscape. This time around, instead of flying up and renting a rig, we're making the long 3,200-mile drive from Utah in Aspen, our Lexus GX460. Now, like all of our rigs, she has become a member of the family and has faithfully taken us to some incredible places over the past several years. So, when it came time to discuss selling her for a full-size upgrade due to our growing family, Caroline broke down in tears at the thought of seeing her go. So earlier this year when I was driving the Dalton Highway in the dead of winter with my friend Craig, I lamented my upcoming unsavory task, and he suggested another option: bring Aspen to Anchorage and add her to the Alaska Overlander rental fleet instead. That way we would have an income stream to finance the next build and could still fly in and use her from time to time. Obviously, we love this plan, so we got to work on her with some thorough maintenance items and fresh upgrades to take what was already a dialed-in build even closer to absolute perfection for her upcoming Alaskan adventures. After 437 miles from Salt Lake to a beautiful area just north of Mountain Home, Idaho, day one of our long journey was off to a decent start. And finding this lakeside camp for the night was the cherry on top.
Okay.
Howdy folks and welcome to
A father-daughter adventure.
We are on our way, where?
Alaska.
With our primary goal being Kodiak Island. And then we're going to leave this thing up there, fly back so that other folks can rent her and explore Alaska too. So should be a fun drive. We've got 1,000 miles to drive, and we're going to take about 6 days to do it. So it's about 9 hours of driving a day. Should be fun.
It should be interesting with natural and artificial flavors. Watch this.
Nice.
That was slay.
They say gardens are for growing so much more than roses, but you like the way they look. They say dancing is for parties, but you'd rather do it always. So I twirl you around the kitchen while we cook. I wanna do anything you want to. I wanna do anything you want to. They say singing's for the birds, but they must have never heard the sound of your voice coming from the shadows. And if magic is for movies, would you please explain to me the feeling that I get when I'm around you?
All right, well, good morning, folks. Marvelous night's sleep last night. We're at the end of this dead-end spur. No traffic to deal with. Could hear just a little bit from across the lake there, but for the most part, absolutely silent. And then we woke up to this chorus of songbirds just waking us up. Pretty spectacular first night, to be honest with you, as far as first nights go. Usually I don't sleep worth a doggone, but last night I slept pretty good. So we are gonna be eating some fast meals because we got to make time on this leg of the trip. So we've got some handy dandy little cereal buckets, if you will, cereal bowls. We've got cup of noodles like you saw last night. We've got all the easy stuff to make this speedy and efficient. So quick breakfast and then wheels up. Gotta roll.
And of course, one of the most important ingredients, topo brew.
I made you breakfast.
Thank you.
Have you ever had fruit today? Got a little something.
I know. That's sugary.
Straight sugar. Sugar delivery.
How'd you sleep?
I slept like a baby.
Yeah.
It was like probably the best sleep I've had in a while.
Yeah. It's pretty peaceful out there. I was really anticipating being up most of the night, as I usually am on the first night or two.
Yeah.
I was out. Time for some of the Lord's finest chicken. My pleasure indeed.
My hair.
Day 2 in the books. Just in time. We were getting a little bit worried about finding camp, but this campground is perfect. You're already ready for bed, huh?
Yes.
Nice. I don't know about you, but I'm kind of just ready to go to bed.
Yeah.
Go play some Nintendo.
Mhm.
Today's route took us across Idaho, Oregon, and Washington, where we're camped a few miles south of the border for tomorrow's crossing. Day 2 was productive and brought the total tally for the trip to 1,023 miles. Good morning, folks. We had another delightful evening here in this campground of all things. I think it's free. There's no pay boxes, there's no information, so it's right on a lake. If you're ever in northern Washington, right before crossing the Canadian border, this is a good one to have in your list. Had a quick breakfast, coffee, obviously, and now let's go across the Canadian border and head a little further north. How'd you sleep last night?
I slept pretty good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Are you liking the new tent?
I loved it a lot.
Yeah.
I'm sad we're giving it away.
Maybe we'll get one on silver.
Yeah.
Yeah. Trying out Onyx a little bit more today. I lost most of my waypoints again, so I'm not really using them as much right now. So I got a new phone, installed Gaia on the new phone. And, you know, it's doing its sync thing, syncing, and it says it's complete. And yet, I would venture to say about 70 to 80% of my waypoints did not carry over. And when you look at the folders, they're empty. You can go online to the browser version and see some of them, not all of them. And so, man, when it comes to data storage, do not trust these apps. When you get done with the trip, get home, download that GPX file, put it in your own doggone folder, because if you're trusting them, you're going to lose some really important information. To be fair, I push it hard. I have a lot of stuff. Like, I really, really push it hard. But I have a lot of friends who are also very much into the navigation apps who have had similar issues. I just want to give you a little bit of an update. I am still frustrated with all navigation apps that are out there, and therefore, I just use them all. All right, let's get back to hard road and head to Canada.
I don't know what to say after that. Maple syrup, bounty bars.
Oh, I can't wait to get a bounty bar. Candy in Canada is so much better. They use real sugar, obviously, not that corn syrup, waxy crap that we eat down here. Since cameras are frowned upon at the border crossings, we had to put them away and focus on the task at hand. Well, Caroline, after 6 years, we finally returned to Canada. That was a pretty easy border crossing. Probably the smoothest one yet. So something for you guys, if you do decide to do a trip with your child without the spouse, you do have to have a notarized, ideally, consent form signed by your significant other. So we have Caroline's passport, we have her birth certificate, and we have a notarized consent form to allow her to travel. That way, if any questions ever come up, it's all taken care of. Are you so excited?
I am so excited for McDonald's. Can you believe that?
Let's go see. She's wanting some poutine, so I'm sure there's better places to find poutine. But as we walked into the first McDonald's we could find, it was as if Canada knew we had arrived and welcomed us with a fitting anthem. Caroline has become obsessed with trying new foods, which is impressive for an 11-year-old. So I can't say no to not giving her the chance to try a Canadian favorite to celebrate our first day here. Oh, and for those who are wondering, poutine consists of French fries, cheese curds, and brown gravy, which melts the curds, making a savory dish. Though I'm not sure if she was very impressed. Are you a fan of the poutine? All right, now you can be honest.
I liked it.
You liked it? Are you sure?
I mean, it's McDonald's. I mean,
You're not gonna hold poutine to the McDonald's version.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have to try it again.
Yes.
Okay. But initial impression?
Meh.
Meh. With thunderstorms moving in, we decided to find camp before things got too wet and dark. Our first attempt was a campground with decent reviews, but it turned out to be a bit too crowded for us to commit. And so we headed for some nearby forest roads that looked promising. As it turns out, the rain beat us here, and we were soon slipping and sliding up and down the ridges and hunt for a suitable spot. When you do this often enough, you start to get a sense for safe spots that come from visual cues or sometimes just a tingling in your spine that tells you something isn't right.
I don't personally like it, but...
I mean, it's got a complete rolled over, burnt out car. What could possibly go wrong? If anybody's missing a vehicle, that might be theirs. Woo, going sideways now. Well, the campground didn't work out. That just wasn't our vibe. So I'm following some hints on Overlander. That's not really panning out either. We're basically on just a logging road right now, and it is a sloppy mess. Not super deep, not super slick, and just continue to get worse and worse. So we're just going to back out of it entirely if we can. Might even have to air down here in a second, just to get some good traction going downhill, and maybe try and find a provincial park or something like that. Just bite the bullet, pay for a campground that's decent. Now for the fun part, going downhill in this stuff. Let's see how she does.
I'm terrified. I'm gonna bonk the hole.
Yeah, this was a little slicker than I expected. Hopefully there's enough crest on this trail that keeps us up on top here. Burned out stolen cars are a good sign that you should move on. And so we found something a bit further down the trail and off the beaten path, though neither one of us were feeling great about it.
I mean, this is us, babe. Got a better vibe to it, doesn't it?
No, not really.
Alright, well, we found an acceptable camp. It's actually off the main trail here. Got a cool little pond covered in ducks right now. The rain's really putting a damper on our supper plans. Long day yet again. Just sandwiches tonight. Had steaks planned. Well, we got more storms moving in, so...
Oh, look how dark that is.
Yeah. Keep it simple. Day 3 of our travels took us across the border and 374 miles closer to Anchorage, netting a grand total of 1,397 miles overall. Not a great day for covering ground, but little did we know we were about to get an early start for day 4.
It is currently 3:11 a.m. and we're in the car. Sorry, it's super dark because there's snow all over the car. So we're getting a few inches of snow, and my dad heard trees falling down, so we're having to leave at 3:11 a.m. and I was having I don't know, it was like a badish sort of like dream, and he was like, okay, do we stay here or do we leave? I was like, we get the heck out of here! Because if you didn't know, I have a really big fear of like trees falling down because it's so sudden you don't know if it's gonna happen. But we're currently going to drive, so yeah, get some gas station breakfast. So see you soon.
Around 2 a.m., I sat bolt upright when a massive tree fell about 30 yards away. As my senses came to me, I noticed the hard rain had stopped. Then I heard more trees in the distance cracking and popping like fireworks. When I unzipped the tent window, I was showered in white, cold clumps of snow. A freak late spring snowstorm was currently dumping on us, and the now sap-filled trees were buckling like toothpicks under the extra weight. I didn't even have time to film the crazy cracking sound since we had to rush to get us out of there before we became trapped by more downed trees across the trail. And while I usually carry a chainsaw for freak events just like this, we were traveling light, and that was left behind in Utah this time around. And so our day of travel was off to an exciting, very early start.
Flowers you brought my stomach in knots. You never seem to be scared. My heart's on pause whenever you're gone. But one day we'll go anywhere. Darling, I've never been there.
Coffee for you this morning.
Thanks.
Who taught you that?
Mom.
We just can't seem to have a trip without some sort of drama, huh? Feel better now?
All I need is your hand in mine.
Thanks. And we were. Oh, it's hot.
So whenever we go somewhere new, or not new, but like whenever we go somewhere, we always want to try like the different stuff that we don't have back in Utah. So this time we got a crunchy.
Holy crap, that's huge. That's a whole thing.
That's really good
Good?
and interesting.
Oh, wow.
It's good.
That is different. Yeah.
It's pretty.
Some people talk to angels, and some people talk to themselves. Well, I don't know who you're talking to, but everything you say makes me want you. You are a novel in a sea of magazines. You make me nervous, you make my heart beat. You are red in a sea of black and white. You are a fire, you are dynamite. Some people try to change the world, and some people just stay alive. Well, I don't know what you're living for, but everything you do makes me want more. You are a novel in a sea of magazines. You make me nervous, you make my heart beat. You are red in a sea of black and white. You are a fire, you are dynamite.
Hey, Susie,
Well,
I got something to show you.
we're still a little early in the season, I guess. But I don't know if you remember from season 1, that Salmon Glacier and that trail goes all the way up where you can overlook it and camp in some amazing places. But we're not getting around this guy. Definitely not getting around that guy back up there.
Avalanche danger is still like iffy. It's in spring conditions, as they say, so it fluctuates throughout the day depending on solar radiation and rain, which we're getting a little bit of right now. So as far as we can go, snap a few pictures, head back down the mountain here. But man, came all the way over here to see it. At least we can see the toe, and it has shrunk. It has shrunk big time. I don't know if you can remember season 1. I'll throw some clips up, but gorgeous place right here. Oh, and by the way, Starlink is working like a charm. We've had internet pretty much the whole time. Sarah's having a video chat with her mom. It's actually Sarah's birthday today, so yeah, sorry babe, we weren't home for that, but I hope you enjoyed the flowers that we sent. All right, here we go.
You can't just put it in a plastic baggie or something.
You remember it at all?
Barely.
Barely, yeah. Alright, since camp didn't work out up at the glacier, we're headed to another dispersed area. Quick little pizza here at the, what's it called?
Silverado Cafe Pizza Pie.
Definitely the best pizza in Stewart.
Ooh, now we're getting dark.
Yeah,
Dude, that's crazy.
this is wild. I think we found our spot. All right, girl. That was a long one.
That was.
That was pretty rough. But I think we found a campsite worth the effort. The drive into this was actually spectacular. Just Star Wars level. What is that? What is the Planet of the Ewoks? I can't remember. I'm running on an hour and a half of sleep, so Tatooine, I believe, is the name. But we were too tired to film it, so maybe if we're lucky, we'll go out that way in the morning. Bedtime. Day 4 ticked off a hefty 593 miles through British Columbia thanks to our early start and late finish, pushing our total to 1,990 beautiful but exhausting miles.
All right, folks. Well, let's see. What was that, about 20 hours later? We're in bed, finally. It's a lot of work driving all the way to Alaska. We still have 2 more minimum 12-hour days. This is day 4. Whew, that's some work. If you're going to do this, you want to take at least a couple weeks. Spread it out. See some things. This is a blistering pace. Alright. Get some sleep. See you in the morning.
We had covered a lot of ground in these 4 days and made quite a few core memories along the way. But tonight, we're turning off our alarms to hopefully catch some extra sleep before driving the next 1,000 miles to Anchorage, where, funny enough, our adventure would really get started. You ready to get going, baby girl?
Too tired.
You're too tired. Good morning. Finally, an excellent sleep last night. No crashing trees around us, so we're caught up on sleep. Matter of fact, we slept in just a little bit, so it's good for the rest, not great for the schedule. We still have about 25 hours of drive time left to make it to Anchorage, and we're already 4 days into this trip, so it's a long haul. Now, we get a lot of questions about security. So one little hack that we do is, because we have Starlink, you can use these little guys right here. These are Ring drop cams. So they're battery powered and they tie into the Wi-Fi from Starlink there. And I can actually check camp's perimeter from the tent. I just open up the app, go from camera to camera, see what's going on. And worst case scenario, if something really bad did go down, it's not stored locally. It's connected, it's in the cloud. So those guys are going down. Anyhow, it's handy. It's pretty simple too. But wait, there's more. If you ever go into a restaurant in a big city after a trip or during your trip and you're all worried about your gear because, let's face it, this is a billboard, you can set this up inside your vehicle or inside your trailer, and you can watch the cab from the restaurant. So if somebody does bust in, you've got evidence, but most importantly, you got eyes on your prize.
As deep as deep can go, are heavy on my soul. And you see all I am, but still aren't letting go. Don't let me go. Don't let me go. Don't let me go. Don't let me go. Was born to run. Don't let me go. Set fire to my trails. I'm all burned up when daylight comes. But you know where to find me. You're the only one I believe in. Scars as deep can go are heavy on my soul. And you see all I am, but still you aren't letting go. Don't let me go. Don't let me go. Don't let me go. Don't let me go. Was born to run, but don't let me go.
As the miles ticked off along the beautiful Stewart-Cassiar Highway, so did the bear sightings as we left BC behind and crossed over into the Yukon Territory. But even more exciting than all the wildlife and mountain views was a chance encounter with a fan of our channel at a fuel stop, which really brightened our weary spirits as a good reminder of the impact our stories can have.
Well, that was cool. I always love running into folks who watch our channel. Really encouraging stuff too. He said that he had some health stuff that had him laid up for quite some time a couple years ago, and started watching the channel, and now he's up here doing this, and that's the kind of stuff that keeps us excited. Right.
I need to go to the bathroom. Okay. I don't have time to chit chat.
So for those of you who have never been to this part of the country, you'll find these gas stations with these little, what they call a card lock. So you'll go to this little station here, put in your credit card, tell it which pump you want, make sure you get the right pump your fuel, and rock on. Yeah, just something to be aware of. Oh, and by the way, restrooms are roll the dice. They're pretty eclectic. Whether or not you'll find them, and once you do find them, what the situation may or may not be. So, yeah, just be prepared.
After putting another 500 miles behind us, it was time to start the search for camp. Now, the nice part about northern travel this time of year is that you end up with plenty of daylight hours the further north you travel, especially as you get close to the summer solstice. And so our late start this morning still didn't leave us in the dark, even after 12 hours of travel.
Alright, usually, you know me, I'd go camp someplace away from the crowds. I left this one up to Caroline, and she likes the lake, so we're gonna go post up down here amongst the crowds.
Now, I know I said we were keeping our meals simple so we could move fast, but I did happen to grab one or two substantial options for a special meal here and there. So tonight, I thought it was time to crack into the steaks, mushrooms, and salad, which was quite the improvement over our sugar and carbohydrate splurge. Good?
This is the best sticker I've tasted.
No, surely not.
I'm dead serious. Screw this salad.
All right,
delicious dinner in our bellies. It's about almost 10 o'clock now. Still very, very bright. Sunset's not until about 11:15. I'm glad our tent is pretty dang dark. So ended up grabbing this little recreation area here on a spectacular lake. Absolutely gorgeous, but it's a popular spot. We're in here a little tight, but it seems like everybody's pretty chill, pretty quiet. I think we'll be okay. All right, grab some sleep. And then I think we have something like 14 and a half more hours drive time tomorrow. We'll see if we make all that. We'll see you in the morning. The next morning, we emerged to find the camping area mostly cleared out. So we took our time making some coffee and enjoying our cereal while taking in a few peaceful moments overlooking the pristine lake. While checking in on social media, I learned that some fellow YouTubers were only about an hour ahead of us on their way to the Dempster Highway. So Caroline and I hit the road to intercept them in Whitehorse for lunch.
Your face is like smiling, but also like, are you dead serious?
Thank you.
You're okay.
See you guys.
Pleasure without pain, or love without heartbreak, perspective, for reflection's sake. When we were young, forever seemed the longest time. To our naive tongues and the trust in our hope-filled eyes. For all my days. For all my days, now that I've got your life, I won't let it go to waste. Time was told me we're scared the most of these things we can't control. No, oh, understand the folly of our own, that we dwell on our mistakes, the chances we're too afraid to take. They take their toll, intellects won't save their souls. Indifference.
Oh, we did stop here once before. It's been a while. Yeah, look at you. There they are. Look at those guys. What's up, buddy? See ya. How you doing, man? It's been a while. This is Caroline. This is Brad and Sean.
How are you, man?
All right. Well, thank you, Brad and Sean, for waiting up for us and sharing a delicious lunch with us there. Whitehorse. Very, very tempting to turn north instead of west, but I hope you guys have a fun trip up to Tuck. Now, back on the highway, headed towards Anchorage. We're almost there. A couple more days. Whew! What a haul.
Like I mentioned before, one of the fun parts of this long drive is getting to try unique candy along the way that we don't have back in the lower 48. So let me be clear. The sugar intake is a special splurge for us and not the normal fare. So, moms, put the keyboard down and step away from the comments. Now, on to the taste tests.
So whenever we're in a different country, we like to try different candies. We found some new ones. So we've got some Macintosh and some Eatmores. The experimentation continues. What else are you gonna do to break up the monotony?
Oh gosh.
We're good. Peanut buttery, chewy. Great way to extract fillings.
I'm trying Macintoshes and look how good that looks. Okay. That is,
Can you get through it?
I don't know.
Chip it too.
It's literally impossible.
The daddy of all sugar daddies.
It's not even cracking.
Whoa.
That is good though. I'm scared to eat this. What would you rate this? Please don't chip a tooth. Do you see how hard that is?
That's unedible. Now I'm gonna lose a tooth. Loser. Frost thieves! Hold on!
What?
Woo! So in the wintertime, when it gets super cold, you'll get frozen ground underneath the highway and it'll buckle the pavement and it'll make this big, huge speed bump. And you'll be driving along for miles and miles, just enjoying the scenery, checking out the wildlife, and then woof, out of nowhere, Frosty will get you. If you're familiar with the channel, then you might be wondering why all the frequent fuel stops, since we're supposed to have a long-range tank on board Aspen. Well, the sad news is that the long-range automotive tanks are indeed great for extending range, but it comes with a list of quirks and issues to work around. So I had to remove the auxiliary tank to make it simple for future renters. The good news is that while Alaska is remote, it has fuel stops spread perfectly along its very few roads. So as long as you plan your stops well, it's very unlikely you'll need any auxiliary fuel. All right, 13 hours later, next camp. 5 more hours until Anchorage. Good night. All right, well, good morning, folks. Not such a great sleep last night. A little bit of a stomach issue kept me up for a little bit, but the good news is we're only a few hours away from Anchorage and from a house with a shower and a real bed. Hit the reset button, and then, I mean, the real adventure has begun, but the real part of the adventure kicks off, and we get prepped to head to Kodiak Island. So let's get on the road.
So back to where we started. So dancing in the garden, underneath the stars, just hoping in our hearts maybe we'll get it right this time.
At last, we were on our final leg to Anchorage, but the wildlife encounters were about to drop a big surprise on us. Not just a porcupine, but a mother porcupine with a baby. I'm not sure how prickly the little ones actually are, but this one looked cute enough to almost risk a cuddle.
Hit it out of focus. You're falling for a moment. Take note of the unnoticed. Let go of the motive. Stop and smell the roses. Long as there's life in my lungs,
3,227 miles later, we're in Anchorage.
That was hard.
That was a haul.
Finally, after 7 days and 3,392 miles, which included the side quest and tire size corrections from the odometer, we arrived at Craig and Brooke's home, where Caroline was about to be reunited with her best friend Claire.
I see my best friend.
Move.
Hold on.
Needless to say, they were a little excited for the reunion after a couple years apart. I might have been a little excited myself to be reunited with one of the coolest Labradors on Earth, and Milo was clearly missing my scratches too. My friend Craig arrived a few hours later after an emergency room visit due to attempting to remove his wedding ring with a roof rack by jumping off the truck during the trip preparations. As you can imagine, it didn't go well for his unsuspecting finger, but I appreciated his excitement about my arrival. Now it was time for showers, laundry, and a resupply before our trip to Kodiak Island, where the real fun begins.
Hey, Mom! You look the most gangly animal.
Good morning, folks. We are in Anchorage, rested up, washed up. Aspen even got a bath last night thanks to Corbin. And then we've got the Tundra named Kodiak here that Craig and his daughter Claire are going to be riding in. So we've got a couple of little errands to run here in Anchorage before we actually head down towards Homer to jump on the ferry. So ride along, let me show you a couple of our favorite spots. With everything repacked and ready, we headed into town for a couple of essential stops for anyone traveling through Anchorage. The first of which is the Alaska Mint.
So you remember this spot?
I do.
Yeah.
You got my little wolf coin, right?
That's right.
Since our first visit here in 2018, we've had to return every time we're in Alaska to see what kind of crazy gold nuggets or fossils they've put in the store. They also have their own mint, hence the name. So they also have some beautiful coins with Alaskan themes struck right here in their shop. But honestly, my favorite attractions are the gold nuggets that come in from local miners, because it seems like every one of them has their own story of the find, which truthfully doesn't help my gold fever at all.
Days ago, like 3.
Yeah?
The guy who found it,
No, we're from Las Vegas.
broke his foot right before his trip up
I used to live there.
to come mine with his buddies,
Came here when
and he's
I was
like,
5 and left when I was 31.
I still gotta go, you know, still gotta go. So all of his buddies are down mining where they're supposed to mine in the river. He's where he could make it with his broken foot, and he found this biggest nugget of the trip.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, just a
That is
beauty.
crazy. Look at that. Got some quartz in there too.
Yep,
You can hold it? And what does that one go for?
that one's like 20 grand.
20 grand?
So we asked him, and he said he'll be breaking his foot in preparation for next year's trip.
Not safe.
The biggest in the house right now,
Yeah.
35 grand. This is the biggest the miner ever found. So that one's from like the 50s.
Man, look how smooth that one is.
Yeah, and that's just the river,
Yeah.
just smoothing it out.
Yeah.
But he sold us that one and this one, and he
Oh,
moved,
another smooth one, yeah.
and then he moved to Mexico. He's done with the Alaskan winters.
Oh man, that is so cool.
When he found it, I think we looked it up, and gold was like $100 an ounce, and now it was $2,400 when we paid him. I mean, he did so good.
He sat on that.
He did so good.
He rode the inflation rate. So each one of these kind of has a pedigree, right?
Totally, yep. So they all come with, and even the big ones, they just don't fit in the book.
Right.
But they all come with a map of where they were found.
Yeah.
That's pretty close. Where is that? That thing's
Sunrise.
Sunrise. Real close. Last.
So this is actually petrified then, right?
Yeah, that one we're guessing about 5,000 years old,
Man, look at those teeth.
and it died way off the coast instead of at the coast, which is why it's intact. Because usually the wave action destroys it.
So this was like somebody dove and found
A couple gold miners were doing that dredging off the bottom of the ocean, and they found it in 4 feet of mud.
it? Wow.
Yeah, so it was super deep.
That is wild.
Yeah.
I guess you follow the boneyard guy.
Yeah. We work with his daughters for the
do you?
daughters.
Okay.
Yep. We're good friends with them.
Awesome.
We're making them a coin. Yeah.
If massive gold nuggets aren't enough to get your blood pumping, then these impressive fossils will at least make your jaw drop. Crazy enough, most of these are a byproduct of gold mining efforts, and some fetch far more than any old nugget would. A full-length adult tusk from a woolly mammoth can fetch over $70,000 if you find the right buyer, whereas a complete skull will put you back the price of a Ferrari. The good news is, there's plenty of attainable-sized nuggets to take home as an Alaskan souvenir that will forever hold its value as more than just a keepsake. You can see more of their impressive collection at alaskamint.com, or stop in and tell them Lifestyle Overland sent you. With our stomach growling, it was time for one last stop before hitting the trail. This time, we're returning to the infamous and world-renowned Moose's Tooth Pizzeria. Not only is it some of the best pizza on the planet, but it holds a very special place in our hearts as being one of the first ever Lifestyle Overland Patreon meetup locations way back in 2018 with folks who still support the channel to this day. Thank you for riding along for so long, guys.
What you got over here? Chicken thigh.
With dressing. Either you like pepper on your salad.
You got a good copy on me?
Yep, copy.
Copy the copy. Copy that.
Making copy.
With our appetites quenched, it was time to head for the Kenai Peninsula as we made our way to Homer in a very unique mode of transportation to Kodiak Island.
Hold on, honey. Someday's gonna be one day soon. They promised hope, but I've heard all that before. And all the blood I poured won't be your free ride back to shore. I've been thinking that we all want a taste of fate, but lately all I hope is that my kid's proud of his name. Sometimes I wanna be on my own, but I don't wanna die alone. If it were for your love, then I'd be gone by the morning. Ooh, hold on, honey. Ooh, someday's gonna be one day soon. Oh.
Look what we found.
That's wild.
Do you know what they are? You ready?
Got on your face.
Oh, it's like face paint, war paint. Ah, war paint! You actually.
Oh boy, this is gonna get fun, y'all. Oh gosh. Who's sleeping with them tonight?
Good thing we brought the towels.
I was like, I got this part.
After a few hours of travel through one of our favorite parts of Alaska and some time taking in the 11:30 p.m. sunset, we found a camp for the night, just a stone's throw from the beach, and began to set up camp. Now, if you followed our travels for a while, then you might have noticed the shift to Bush Company tents and awnings on all of our builds. Since this Lexus is going up for rent here in Alaska, we wanted a configuration that would be easy to set up and pack down while still putting up with the Alaska weather. After trying several brands and styles over the years, this was one of the few options in a sea of Chinese knockoffs we found to be strong enough for constant use, while having enough quality materials and features to make it comfortable for guests. The same goes for this awning. In the past, I rarely used our awnings without going overboard and anchoring it down every time, since we've seen too many of them fold from a random gust. The truss system on this Bush Company awning is a different animal though, and with its overkill mounting plate, I've gotten even braver about using it in windy conditions. It's also one of the fastest awnings to set up and put away, so I've gone from hardly using an awning at all to setting it up at almost every camp. If you're interested in seeing more details on these tents and awnings, then head to our store at overland.pro for the full lineup.
Yeah, it's such a nice awning.
Before diving into cooking dinner, I took a minute to check out Ralph's unique camping setup, which he's made some upgrades to for off-road use.
Now that's a setup right there.
Yeah.
Man.
How cool is this?
Takes a little to get set up.
Yeah.
Boy, I remember taking this thing when it had leaf springs on it. It was so miserable.
Oh, I bet. It's just bouncing everywhere.
Boom, boom.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
Oh, man.
It sets up nice. There's a bed here, and then this folds out to a nice bed, and then that's the queen.
Man.
Yeah.
All kinds of room for activities.
Yeah.
You do have to disconnect it, though, to set up his awning.
I do have to disconnect. Yeah, that's the bummer. But it's all, I mean, it's really nice. It's toes behind really well and because of the size.
Milo. What are you doing, boy? You got a little bug hut. That's cool.
He is.
Yeah. You got your little bug hut, don't you? You know what it's all about. Yeah, I can't wait to get Ace up here to meet you. Yeah.
Now, while we are not in the thick of the mosquito season, they were pretty crazy when we pulled in here. I popped out one of these, and 80% of them are gone. So if you come into Alaska, or if you camp in an area with lots of mosquitoes, thermocells. I'll put some links down below.
Now it's on. Now it's a sport.
I haven't been getting many of them. They don't stay close enough to me.
No?
No, but I figured I'd bring it over. When we first got them, my brother taught my boys how to zap each other, so.
Another addition to Aspen that I'm really pleased with is the under-fridge table that slides out for food prep. This was part of my original plan when we built a custom storage system, but I just never got around to installing it until this trip. The 500-pound heavy-duty sliders and butcher block surface make for quite the finished product.
Ready for some meat?
The next morning, we were up early after our late night to hit the beach at low tide for a drive north along the water's edge. Apparently, Craig had heard of a very cool cabin along the stretch of shoreline, and so with several hours before our ferry departure out of Homer, we still had some time to explore the area. All right, well, good morning, folks. After a delicious steak dinner and a very, very nice sleep, very peaceful sleep, we're ready to go drive on the shores, the Alaskan shores, with these folks. So let's get going.
There's something about driving on a beach. There's really something about driving on an Alaskan beach, but I will say these tides can change fast. So you drive out, give yourself a little bit of buffer, and at low tide you turn around and you head back. You try to time it going out, and that's when you go out, and then keep a close eye on that puppy, and as soon as it starts coming back in, you start getting the heck out of Dodge, because you don't want to get your rig stuck or broke down out here. And ideally, you wouldn't go alone. That way somebody can pull you out, worst case scenario. Thankfully, this is nothing. This is gravel, a little bit of loose sand here and there. We're not even aired down, and it's just fine. But it can sneak up on you real quick. Stay out of the tidal flats too. That's straight muck. Somebody wasn't up for an early start today.
I rose with the sun, the love with this feeling of feeling in love. The notion itself was a troublesome spell. Need a portion to another, I've made myself. And I've been running from myself now most my whole life. Jesus, when I am becoming is a cynical guy. So I stick to my guns and I keep my aim still. When I shoot to kill, and I don't stop till I got my fill.
Check this thing out too.
Oh man.
It's a Lotus.
Look at that. That's some effort to cut that box in.
In case you didn't know, Alaska has more than its fair share of unique structures built by creative individuals. And this cabin, perched on a few rocks, was an engineering marvel that came with its own stunning view of Cook Inlet. Rumor has it with the locals that you can drive this beach for over 30 miles if you have the time and patience to find safe camps along the way due to some of the biggest tides in the world with a nearly 40-foot shift from low to high. As cool as this route is, today we have even better places to be. So after a few more miles, we put a pin in this as a future challenge, and after saying goodbye to Ralph, Reeve, and the pups, headed southwest for Homer as the tide returned to cover our tracks. Welcome to Homer, Alaska. Nestled on the southern tip of the Kenai Peninsula, Homer, Alaska is a small town of about 6,000 residents. This picturesque community is surrounded by towering mountains, glacial fords, and the deep waters of Kachemak Bay. The heart of tourism is found on what's called the Spit, a 4.5-mile-long stretch of land left behind by long-forgotten glaciers. Our girls have reached an age where shopping has hit the top of the requested activities list, and so we popped into a few of the shops to check out some of the local artisans' work.
What?
What we got?
We got Abigail a book.
Uh-huh.
We got matching hoodies. Mine's over there too. But. Yeah, and then I got a little otter sticker for Mom.
While the town of Homer was originally founded as a coal mining venture by its namesake Homer Pinnock in the late 1800s, his efforts eventually failed. But the town was revived thanks to the strategic location to rich fishing waters, which soon brought a new economy to its inhabitants that still thrives to this day. If you take a stroll down to the harbor, you'll see everything from massive commercial fishing ships to smaller halibut and wildlife charters. If you're planning a visit to Alaska, Homer is one of those towns that just needs to be on your bucket list. After an hour or two of wandering through the docks and shops, it was time to get checked in for our ferry ride along the Alaska Maritime Highway.
Okay, same thing. You said you had a propane tank or something, right?
I have a 5-gallon gas tank.
5-gallon gas tank. Yeah. So lanes 1 through 5, you're good. This goes in the vehicle above the steering wheel facing out. That goes to the purser and no firearms?
No firearms.
Okay. Cool.
Thank you.
Have a great trip, guys.
Thanks.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Appreciate it.
This extensive ferry system provides passage for people and vehicles along a 3,500-mile system with 30 stops beginning in Bellingham, Washington, and ending all the way in Dutch Harbor and the Aleutian chain of islands. While we've been on a few small ferries over the years, we were super excited for this one, since it would be our first overnight passage on a ship complete with sleeping berths as we make the 11-hour overnight ride along 85 nautical miles to Kodiak Island. Our ride of choice will be on the Tustamina, a 300-foot-long vessel that has been in service since 1965, and is specially designed with stabilizers to handle open ocean travel as it navigates the unpredictable waters of the North Pacific along the Gulf Coast of Alaska. Now, loading your vehicle on this boat is a bit different than some of the ferries we've been on before, since the Trusty Tusty, as the locals call her, has an elevator instead of a ramp. You can bet I was scratching my head on how this process was going to go, since we were facing the sides of the ship as we descended into her belly. I'm not sure if it's the most efficient loading method out there, but it's definitely the most interesting by far.
Hola. All right, let's go, my friend.
All right.
Yeah, film all of this. Give me just a hair on your left. Give me one more time. You are in the. You have to avoid this wrinkle. Give me one more time, and then stop right there. Hard over, and then close this. Keep going that way. All right, stop right there. Straight your wheel. Good. Back. Keep it that way. Yes, the her on your right. Straight your wheel again. Good. You're gonna stop right there. Yes, you're gonna give me 10 more feet, and
All right.
that's it.
All right.
Good, yeah? Okay, stop.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
After our massive elevator and turntable ride, we were met by an extremely friendly South American deckhand who guided us into our tight parking space before making our way to our cabin to ditch our gear before departure.
Down and then rotate you, and then you back up
And then back up.
into space.
Yeah.
Like,
And
okay.
we can drive.
Yeah, look at this.
What happens
Keep it up.
Let's go here right after, okay? My bag is so heavy. Oh, that sucks. What? You have 2 bumpers. What? What?
It's no secret that Alaska is known for being beautiful nearly everywhere you look, but this sunset ride out of the bay will forever be a core memory for our little father-daughter crew. While it was tempting to stay up all night and watch for whales and other wildlife, we still had a lot of travel ahead of us, so we did our best to curb our excitement and get a few hours of sleep. The next morning, Caroline and I sallied forth from our berth to rustle up some breakfast and coffee as we neared our destination.
Yeah, I've got. That's $4. What?
It seemed options were a little less than optimal, but things got a lot worse when we found the coffee machine was out of service. We learned from some frequent travelers that food on the ferries was unpredictable at best, and the coffee machine had been down for months. But we were saved by a sweet lady who was carrying some emergency rations of caffeine.
Where there's a will, there's a way, right?
Yeah,
That's Alaskan ingenuity right there.
hey, we need caffeine.
And so, with a vending machine breakfast and instant coffee in our bellies, we headed to the deck as Kodiak came into view.
When I lay my head down to sleep, I've got you like a reason to dream. Another night out on the road, and you
so they just turned a ship into a building. That's crazy. I guess in Alaska, use what you got. Whew. All right, folks, welcome to
Kodiak Island.
where we need coffee in a bad way. I really appreciate that nice lady on the ferry who gave us some instant coffee, but this is going to require a little higher octane, higher quantities. This sleepy, rainy weather has got us wanting to go back to bed, so coffee time.
Oh, you probably like cheese.
Oh, yeah. With a proper breakfast and an extra dose of coffee for the road, we headed off to get our first real taste of Kodiak. And let me tell you, we were in for a treat. With 3,595 square miles, this is one of the largest islands in the United States, second only to Hawaii's Big Island, with 2/3 of its land being designated as a wildlife refuge. Also known as the Emerald Isle for its lush, almost otherworldly green landscape, this has been inhabited for millennia in spite of its extremely remote location. The Alutiiq people were the first to call this land home and subsisted primarily off of the abundant sea life for about 7,000 years. But when the first Russian fur traders arrived in 1784, it forever changed their way of life. Sadly, the lucrative Russian fur trade brought colonization and massacres of hundreds of Alutiiq, with the survivors being forced into servitude.
It's good.
Doesn't smell very good.
Wow. Some kind of barnacle, yeah.
It's huge barnacle
That's
at
crazy
that.
looking though, isn't it?
Eventually, in 1867, the United States purchased Alaska from the Russians for $7.2 million in a move most thought was absolutely foolish, but little did they know at the time what Alaska held in her mountains and streams. Thankfully, the heritage of the Alutiiq survived, but just barely, with 80% of their population having been wiped out due to violence and new diseases. During World War II, Kodiak Island became a critical staging ground for operations in the North Pacific as the Japanese began to attack and occupy other nearby islands. Gun emplacements and fortifications still dot the coastline today as a reminder of the old threat, while the remaining base infrastructure is now utilized by the Coast Guard to enforce and protect the large fishing fleet and cargo ship traffic. We'll definitely dive more into the history of Kodiak during this trip, but today we're mostly interested in soaking up the experience of this beautiful, wild island, starting with some of the most remote beaches in the world.
Oh, look, right there, right there, right there. See him?
It's
Wow.
dead. Pinch, pinch.
No, it's not.
It's not even funny.
After exploring a few beaches, we found the perfect camp. And just as we finished setting up, we caught the unmistakable plume of a whale spout just off the beach as what seemed like an entire pod of whales moved into the area and gave us a show we won't soon forget.
Well, I guess this will just have to do. But side note, I think a lot of folks clearly think that this just all looks easy, but the simple fact of the matter is we still have our struggles, and today was one. Caroline got smacked by a wave, not once, but a couple of times. Got her clothes wet, meltdown, the whole 9 yards. I probably could have handled it better, but I knew how little clothes she had. So we had a bit of a miscommunication. So it was a bit of a rough start, but now we've seen some whales, got a beautiful campsite, and I just mentioned that to say that you're gonna get out there with your kids and it's gonna seem like they don't appreciate it. You're gonna get frustrated, they're gonna be mad, they're gonna say they're miserable, they wanna go home. Just take a breath. Just calm the situation down. And it does get better. The sun does come out. The rain does stop. Sometimes you just gotta stick with it until it improves. And the more you do that, the easier it gets to overcome your differences. And that goes for a lot of things in life, a lot of relationships. So this has been a Dr. Phil moment with Kevin. All right, a little bit of relaxation. We're sitting here watching whales just right there. See if you can see one. Boom! Look at that. This is cell phone footage, y'all. Look at that. But in the meantime, we're gonna try an Alaskan delicacy, I guess.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. This is your first time too?
My first time.
All right, let's get your reaction first.
Make sure that we.
I give it a sniff. Yeah. He's on a ride, it looks like.
It's a mixture of Old Bay and ketchup chips.
Okay. That doesn't taste like old crab, though. No, if I'm gonna go for that, I think I'll get me some crab. Morning.
Morning.
Or afternoon, whatever it is.
Afternoon or whatever.
Sit by the fire, ladies.
There you go, sir.
Thank you, sir. Oh. Cheers.
Cheers.
That's good.
Only the finest roast.
Exactly. I like the cup a lot. It holds the heat really, really well.
Yeah.
I mean, this was cooking for most of the day.
Yeah.
I had to take it off because it was getting too hot almost.
Gotcha. Yeah.
But no,
Yeah.
it was great.
Terrible, Kevin.
Let's be honest. Father-daughter trips rarely focus on cooking quality meals since we're more focused on the exploration. But this morning, we're taking it easy. So we put our best foot forward and actually made an attempt at a decent breakfast for the crew.
Before it goes over.
Yeah.
I know. No, small Mickey Mouse ones. I play the last one? Yeah. Bum 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 bum. Mini pancake. Yes.
Even the girls got in on the efforts, and it wasn't long before we were all sitting down to plates of warm pancakes and maple syrup, which was a welcome treat in the cool, damp breeze that had sprung up. We had convinced ourselves that we were going to sit tight all day long and just enjoy the view. But curiosity got the better of us, and so we packed up to explore more of the area and maybe, just maybe, find an even better camp for the night. I know, we definitely have an epic camp addiction. At least everything is super quick to pack down for both of us now. It's crazy to think how far we've come since the early days of gear totes and a Coleman Dome tent, when packing up was the most dreaded chore. But today, we can be on the road in 15 to 20 minutes instead of the 1 to 2 hours we took 10 years ago. Still, I like to remind folks that the most important thing is to just get outside with whatever gear you can afford. So don't get hung up on having the latest, shiniest products. Start small and build your kit slowly as you decide on what the most important upgrade will be. What you see here is over 10 years in the making, and not at all what you need from day one. You just have to start somewhere and enjoy the process of building a well-rounded kit. Like I mentioned before, the main reason we've come to Alaska is to deliver this rig we've lovingly named Aspen to be put up for rental. So if you're wanting to experience a fully built overland rig in the most beautiful land on earth, then head to explore.rent and pencil in your adventure. You can also check out more rental options at alaskaoverlander.com, where if you use code LIFESTYLE at checkout, you'll get $100 towards your rental. Renting is an awesome way to see Alaska without that long drive from the lower 48. It's also a fun way to test different overland gear to decide if it's a good fit for your own kit.
So what do we confirm this is?
It's a shark. It's a shark skeleton.
That's wild.
Doesn't this look kind of like a dragon? I thought it was a dragon at first.
Dragon shark.
If you're traveling Alaska, it's important to remember that we're not the highest on the food chain here. We discovered a nearby reminder of the cold, hard fact that life in Alaska can be brutal, especially if you find yourself on the business end of a hungry bear.
I don't think it just died.
Well, the way that it died, when it got murdered.
That's been eaten.
It's been eaten, but like the way, like the position, it was like, oh.
Yeah.
That is sad.
You see what ate it?
It smells. It's just stuff. Do not touch.
That is a big bear.
Okay, let's go. That's gross.
Well, if I was trying to recreate what happened here, I think that the bear not only killed the calf, but killed the mom in the process. Probably trying to defend it.
Oh, wow.
See the eagle feather?
Where? Oh, can we keep it?
Nope.
Nope.
I don't even know if you're allowed to touch it, to be honest with you.
To be honest, though, bear attacks in Alaska are very rare. And if you stay aware of your surroundings and keep a low scent profile around camp, you're very unlikely to have an encounter. In our experience, truly wild bears want very little to do with humans. The biggest risks are in popular campgrounds where local bears have associated humans with food. And that's why we prefer to wild camp whenever possible. But we still stay frosty no matter where we are. Just a little ways down the road, we found another trail and soon found ourselves climbing higher and higher above the coast, while down below, whales, seals, sea lions, and families of otters looked up at us as we crawled along what has to be one of the most beautiful trails in the world.
Oh my goodness. As if this place couldn't get any better. This is just nuts. Whales everywhere, views off the charts. Kodiak.
Once we reached the top, we found an epic place to camp and naturally marked it on our map for future reference. But as we stared down at the waters teeming with life, I noticed an odd shape on the shoreline, something that looked a lot like a mammoth tusk or whale rib bone that was lying sun-bleached on the rocks. Having heard stories of some incredible beach finds on these remote islands, it really got our heads spinning, and after sending the drone down for a closer look, we were becoming convinced that this might be a once-in-a-lifetime find based on what we could see on the drone's tiny screen. But by now our tummies were growling, and so we drove away, thinking hard about a long hike at low tide to investigate what was now nagging at the back of our minds.
There's not a lot of roads on Kodiak, so we're going to try and explore them all while we're here.
but we are scouting out campsites for ourselves and folks like you, so this would be a nice sheltered option if the wind's a little too crazy out there on that epic camp. Man. It just keeps giving, folks. No, I miss those.
One with the ribs. Nom, nom, nom.
As it turns out, this little lodge had a beautiful restaurant that was far above the usual Alaskan standards. And while I'm not a fan of fish, I make an exception for fresh halibut, which is basically chicken of the sea to my taste buds.
So you've officially molded together, huh?
Yeah. We are fun.
As we explored a few more short trails to deserted beaches, we stumbled across another harsh sight. While it's generally illegal for non-natives to kill seals, the Alaskan natives are exempt from this rule so long as the seal isn't wasted and is used for clothing or traditional crafts. Whether this seal was shot in cold blood and wastefully left behind, or just accidentally wounded and lost before it died, we'll never know. Either way, it struck the girls hard, as it was another somber reminder that life in Alaska is very different from our modern society that is mostly insulated from things like this in this day and age. This is a place where its people still rely on wild game as part of their sustenance, so life and death is an ongoing struggle for man and beast alike here on this remote island. If the rumors are true, then it's likely this seal was shot to help reduce their impact on the fish population for the natives. As we wrapped up our lunch run, Craig and I checked the tide charts as we dreamed of bringing home the ultimate souvenir in the form of a massive whale rib, which we were now convinced was lying on the beach just over a mile away. And so, in spite of the grumbles from the girls who were doubtful and ready to relax at camp, we did our best job to ensure them that this would be a once-in-a-lifetime chance to bring home something truly wild. After a lot of pep talk, we began hobbling and slipping our way along the rocks to make the hike before the waves rose again to crash against the cliff sides. Not a promising outcome if something went wrong, but we were determined to create a few core memories for our girls. So what if we had to wait out the tide somewhere along the way? There was a whalebone waiting for us.
All right, well, we sat down over dinner and decided, even though it's not a mammoth tusk, a whale rib is pretty cool. And as long as we get it certified, it's legal to keep. So we've timed low tide, and we're making about a 1 mile hike out, 1 mile hike back to see, number one, if it really is a whalebone, and number two, if we can get there. This feels really good on a still somewhat broken foot. Ibuprofen for me tonight.
As we walked along, I was losing hope that this would be an epic find, so Greg and I began to prepare for the worst by looking on the bright side of the effort.
All right, there it is. Yeah, the more and more we've walked along and seen other pieces of wood, the less and less confident I've become. But we've come this far.
We're optimists though, Kevin.
You know, we saw otters up close. That was a plus.
And the girls have told some pretty amazing stories.
Yeah.
And we haven't died.
We haven't died yet.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
Eagles everywhere.
Oh yeah, this is great.
This is not a bad view.
No.
That little island right there is so cool.
That's pretty cool. That's what we saw the sea line before.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. What you guys doing? Ah. Come on, girl.
After our long and difficult scramble across the slick rocks and tidal pools, we arrived to find that our quote-unquote whalebone was actually a very unique log, bearing a remarkable resemblance to a whale rib that had us fooled until we were literally within just a few feet.
Talk about getting fooled. Look at that thing though.
That's cool.
Who wouldn't come down here?
Dead.
And a dead cow.
And a dead cow. Yeah, that was so. Yeah, this is craziness, even from here. It's got that real distinctive jawline.
As we turned to start the long hike back empty-handed, we caught some movement that made our day just a little bit better.
These KOs still got a few miles left on them. Whoa!
Iron seems so fresh.
Yeah.
Well, you can't have a father-daughter trip without at least one dad fail. And as we raced the incoming tide to clear the steepest of the cliffs, we could at least check off the box on core memory. Though to be fair, seeing otters and a fox come within 10 feet of us definitely made the hard hike worth it, even though we weren't dragging a whalebone back with us. In retrospect, as hard as it was to hike almost empty-handed out this stretch of beach, I don't know how we would have ever carried anything of size back with us and still beat the tides. So, we all got a good chuckle once we cooled off a bit from the scramble. While you can see some amazing places from the seats of an overland rig, nothing really beats a good hike to really dig into the landscape. You never know what you might find. The good news was that camp we had marked earlier was just a stone's throw away, and so our exhausted crew rolled into probably one of the most epic camps of our overlanding career at a respectable 12:30 a.m. Midnight snack. Are you hungry? After I made you hike a mile of rough shoreline, man.
Are you hungry, Dad?
I am hungry. I am actually going to have potted meat, baby.
Are you okay?
No, I'm going to go sit with Mr. Craig for a minute, unwind from the day, have a beverage, and take this. I mean, come on, people. This morning, we're waking up to a herd of cows meandering through what has to be one of the most incredible campsites in the world, with sweeping views of the North Pacific. We were fortunate to have had a peaceful night of sleep in our Bush Company tent in spite of our windy, exposed camp. But there was trouble on the horizon. The forecast was starting to take a nasty turn, and so with rain moving in quickly, we scrambled to pack down camp just before the drops began to fall. You might not know this, but Alaska played an important role during World War II, though its story was overshadowed by the more publicized theater of war in Europe and the South Pacific, where the more intense battles raged. But here, on these emerald green cliffsides, lies the remnants of concrete defensive emplacements that once kept a watchful eye on the North Pacific. While this peaceful, remote island may seem like it's a long way from any war zone, it was in fact a gatekeeper to the United States' western flank, since this waterway was the most direct route for Japanese enemy forces to attack and potentially invade our western shores in the lower 48. After the surprise attack on Pearl Harbor in 1941, which prompted the United States to enter the war, the Japanese forces again attacked the homeland 7 months later on June 3rd and 4th with carrier-deployed air raids on the U.S. military installations at Dutch Harbor, which was followed by an occupation of Attu and Kiska Islands of the Aleutian chain. This seemingly insignificant attack and invasion of remote islands was the first time since 1812 that an enemy held U.S. soil, and was actually a great threat since it allowed a strategic staging ground for more intense attacks on the Alaskan interior and potentially the lower 48 if they weren't pushed back. Knowing this vulnerability of the western states through this route, the military was already busy fortifying the coastline with emplacements housing spotlights, spotting towers, and gun batteries armed with surplus 6 and 8-inch World War I battleship cannons. Fast, reliable communications were of paramount importance between these forts, so an advanced system was installed to ensure secure messaging of inbound threats between the forward locations all the way back to the mainland. This Kodiak Military Museum, run by volunteers, was a surprising experience for us all, from the knowledgeable staff to the hands-on experience using these complicated teletype machines. The girls were mesmerized by the seemingly magical devices and got to experience their very first time using a rotary phone.
And 9. And this phone's gonna ring.
Take it out, take it out. Take it out, Caroline, take it out. Hello? Hello? Hi. Hi! Don't yell. Is that your name now?
There's phones all over the place.
To the left! To the right! And C. And if you made a mistake, you have to signal E 8 times.
Alright, can you write? But on here you can easily see that the shortest route from Japan to the west coast of the United States comes right through the Aleutians and past Kodiak.
While the guns of Kodiak sat silent in vigilant readiness, the enemy never appeared on the horizon. The strategic location and threat of these defenses did their job to ward off a Western attack on the United States. And eventually, 15,000 American troops conquered the remaining 2,500 Japanese on Attu after a fierce 3-week-long battle that few know about to this day. While the Japanese incursion was mostly a decoy to divert forces from the main battlefront, it was still of paramount importance for the United States to hold the line along this remote coast and ensure that the mainland stayed protected.
It's an eerie feeling to look out on these waters and wonder what it must have been like for the soldiers here to stand on alert, waiting and watching for an attack so far from home.
Received the call to hurry to the hospital, but after his arrival, our hours went by.
After the end of the war, the United States Coast Guard took over most of the naval and army defenses left behind, including Fort Greely, to eventually become one of the largest Coast Guard bases in the United States, providing maritime law enforcement and search and rescue to the Gulf of Alaska and the Bering Sea.
So what was your thoughts on using the old rotary phone for the first time ever?
It was really cool. Like,
Yeah.
it was weird because we're all so used to, like, iPhones, like, Samsungs, that we just, like, it's just different, you know?
Yeah.
And we thought war was hard. That thing's impossible to work. It's so funny because I called Claire and, hey, Claire, you want to get matching perms? Of course!
Very cool. That's an awesome museum.
With heavy rains and high winds moving in, we decided to find the best sheltered camp possible before things got too wild. After a few hours of exploring side roads and coastline, we found the perfect spot, but it required a bit of a water crossing to access. Let's just hope the water doesn't rise too much with what was coming. I believe this will do, especially for the weather that we got coming in right now. So
Yeah, I mean it's boiling out there. You can see it, but
yeah.
I think this is a nice little shelter lotion here. We're looking good.
Well, I mean, there's a little breeze here, but you step literally to like right here, and there's almost no wind. Come on, man! Stop going Weather Channel on me. It was pure pandemonium. Throwing shopping carts and umbrellas. And birds go flying by.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh man,
What's there?
this is storybook level.
Greatness keeps on giving.
With some quick and easy food in our bellies, we all retreated to our tents to ride out the heavy rain while playing games and watching movies. We were just hoping that the worst would blow through overnight and give us some better weather for exploring tomorrow. Well, good morning, folks. It is a blustery, rainy, cold day out there. So, we're in no hurry to get up and pack down. Because, I mean, it's up until just a few minutes ago, it's been downpouring. So, another lazy day, just enjoying the views out of the side of the tent here, which are phenomenal. And then, I think we're going to go try and hit a few roads. We got flood warnings in effect right now, with 3 to 6 inches of rain predicted. So we got to be mindful of where we go, that we don't get stuck somewhere. But we might go into town later on. We'll see how it goes.
I hope so.
All right, Rain, hit the pause button so we can pack down.
Go ahead.
Water. What's this?
Go.
Listen
Go.
on it. Go!
The next morning, we awoke to more gray Kodiak skies and a steady soaking rain. And so, in hopes of keeping the experience enjoyable for the girls, and for ourselves if we're being honest, we headed back to town for some warm, dry breakfast options. But not before finding our water crossing had gotten a little bit deeper overnight.
So just to be clear, if you rent this vehicle or any of Craig's, what we just did is not allowed. This is done at a closed course by professionals who own the vehicles. Don't attempt that. I got deeper than I was expecting, especially right there towards the end. I could see where the water was moving fast, and I think it had pushed some of the silt out that we had floated across. That was close. That was close.
We returned to what had quickly become a favorite stop for breakfast to assess the weather situation and decide our best plan for the day over a couple of ham and cheese croissants and some kind of spectacular pecan dish.
Oh, all right. Well, we had hoped that the rain would start to clear up today, but it's looking like the forecast is getting progressively worse. So we're going to do our best to get out here and drive what few remaining trails and roads that there are on our list. But unfortunately, some of those may be impassable at this point or just unsafe. So we'll see what kind of situation we get into. Really, fingers crossed at this point that we can see a Kodiak bear. That's the quintessential grand slam for coming here to Kodiak, is seeing all the marine life and a Kodiak bear. We had a flight scheduled to go and do the bear tour, but they called us and said that that's not looking good. So that might not happen. So we're going to do our best. We're going to enjoy what we got. You just got to roll with the punches. I mean, nobody can control the weather, especially here in Alaska. You just got to come prepared and be flexible. Another thing that you'll want to always bring is quality rain gear. And I don't mean just a rain coat. Rain pants, boots, maybe even waterproof gloves, because it can turn into a world of rain, and that's what we're dealing with right now. And it's kind of miserable if you don't have some kind of gear to keep you 100% dry. You just got to embrace it. There's no such thing as inclement weather, just inferior gear. So come prepared.
Oh my gosh. It's so deep. Don't do this at home.
turned my back on her for 5 seconds.
Oh gosh.
How are you gonna get down?
It's a Claire bear. Pretty impressive.
Were you recording that?
I was.
Don't put it in video.
Uh-huh. With flood warnings going into effect as the rain began to come down even harder, we did our best to tiptoe around the worst of the flooded streams to see what we could of Kodiak through the downpours. We attempted to drive some of the few trails on the island, but one option after another was simply too far underwater to risk driving. And so, we decided to drive to the opposite end of the road system to see more of the fortifications. With the rain becoming a bit lighter, we were liking where this day was headed. But all of a sudden, the road ahead simply disappeared. Apparently, some sort of massive flood had totally wiped out the road at some point in time and left a stream crossing as the only viable access to the rest of the road.
Yeah.
Well, this is different.
I mean, we can get down there. High boots.
Yeah, right. This is a steep climb. We did our best to scout the stream on foot, but the murky, cold water was just moving too fast to get a good feel for what was on bottom. After some deliberation, I decided to carefully ease the nose of Aspen into this rushing stream to see how deep it really was. About halfway across, I felt a sandy ledge give way underneath us, and the front wheels started to sink into something soft. So, before getting into a desperate situation, I just threw it into reverse. This crossing was simply too risky to push forward, not knowing how deep it was or what large rocks might be waiting for us below the surface.
Well, but I wanna. But we shouldn't.
So we were just saying that if it was just us guys, we'd give it a go.
And it wasn't a rental.
Yeah, if it wasn't a rental. Like, there are people waiting to rent this thing, and we're just not going to put it through that.
Yeah.
Number two, just kids and all that. And the water has been up at least another 10 inches from what I'm seeing during this rain event. So it could easily come right back.
Yeah, and it's been raining solidly all day with the forecast through tonight too as well. So.
And I don't know if you could see it in the shot, but that swift moving part, I was down to the emblem on the grill, and it was soft underneath. And I'd love to punch it.
Yeah.
And I know if I punched it, we could do it.
Yeah.
But I don't know what rocks are in this murky water that's going to hang me up. We got a ferry we got to catch tomorrow, so there's just not time for...
And there's more places to explore.
There's just not time for mistakes. So.
Yeah.
Oh, Kodiak, you're teasing us.
So much.
Man, I want to do it. While the heavy rains had put a damper on the trail rides, we couldn't complain too much. It was just simply too beautiful here in spite of the weather, and the constant presence of the ocean and marine life kept us entertained as we poked around for more accessible roads. It wasn't long before we found a short trail that led to more World War II defensive emplacements. This particular location was a light station, where an incredibly bright spotlight powered by a generator could scan the water at night, while spotters further down the coast could use optics to verify whether the vessels were friendly or not. As I tried to put myself in their shoes, it gave me chills to think about how ominous this job would have been for the soldiers stationed here, thousands of miles away from the raging battlefront. Watching these waters night after night and day after day had to be a psychological battle of its own, knowing that the peaceful moments could be shattered at any given time if the enemy decided to move on the western states, and one's quick action or inaction could mean the difference for hundreds of thousands of lives on the mainland. With more rain moving in and our traveling companions getting a bit damp and maybe a little ragged around the edges, Greg and I decided to call an audible and surprise them with a dry place for the night.
Well, you got your wish.
I did.
We're getting out of the rain. We're getting showers. Got a little Airbnb. Go dry out, freshen up, and then get back after it again.
Our wet and wild adventure had taken a toll on our limited laundry supply, so this was a welcome stop after several days of travel. It also put us closer to town for a very special Kodiak Bear experience that we'd signed up for. That is, as long as the weather broke in time.
So before this trip started, Brooke took them to go shopping, and they came back with a Ford Bronco t-shirt, matching t-shirt outfit.
I love it.
Well, Brooke, I love you to death, but we had to remedy that, and thankfully here on Kodiak, we actually found something more fitting.
I still like the shirt though.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's all right. You can use it as an oil rag or anything like that. I'm just kidding. We like all vehicles. We just don't normally buy the shirts.
We're twins. We're twins. Yes, sir. I am me. She is she, except when I pretend I'm her. And when we switch, you can't tell which is which because we're identical. Identical twins.
Breakfast time. Good morning.
The next morning, being good dads, we hit the easy button on breakfast with some Mickey D biscuits before heading out to see more of the little town while we waited for word from the Bear Tour folks to see if our flight was even going to happen.
This might be the most expensive fill-up outside of Dead Horse.
Yeah, or Coldfoot.
Or Coldfoot. Coldfoot was pretty spendy, wasn't
It was
it?
pretty
Yeah.
small.
Yeah, you're running premium, right?
Yeah, she's a snob.
Our first stop was the Kodiak History Museum, where we got a glimpse into the early days of the island with incredible artifacts from the native Alutiiq people's heritage, ranging from hunting barbs to beautiful ivory carvings and even colorful beadwork. There were also many artifacts from the Russian colonial era when Russia conquered and colonized many areas of Alaska, bringing with them the Russian Orthodoxy whose roots are still prominent across Alaska to this day. The museum itself is housed in one of the oldest known buildings in Alaska, where the Russian-American company stored the pelts of its lucrative fur trade.
That's not ceiling. It's too dark.
It's an otter.
Otters are that big?
It's a sea otter. The girls love the hands-on learning experience here, especially the room dedicated to the fishing industry, which is the perfect segue into our next stop, the Kodiak Harbor. For thousands of years, the inhabitants of Kodiak have relied upon the abundant sea life for their sustenance, and to this day, it's still the core of their economy, with this port being one of the top 5 producing fisheries in the United States. Pollock, cod, salmon, halibut, and sablefish, along with tanner and Dungeness crabs, are just some examples of the diverse catches that make up the heartbeat of Kodiak's economy, with a staggering hundreds of millions of pounds of some of the finest seafood being sold all over the world. For years, I've been a big fan of the Discovery Channel's Deadliest Catch, so coming here and seeing several of those boats in person was icing on the cake for this trip. Sometimes I wish we had more than one lifetime to live on this earth, because in an alternate timeline, I would love to know what life is like in this industry, riding the swells of the North Pacific and fishing its infamous waters for wild catches that fill the boat with slippery, smelly gold of the sea. As we wrapped up our tour on the docks, we received a disappointing phone call. The exciting Kodiak Bear flight tour we had scheduled was canceled due to the ongoing flooding from the near record rainfall. While we were all bummed at this news, we still had some trails to try before our ferry arrived to take us back to the mainland. So the next morning, we got an early start to see if the floods had receded overnight as the rain eased up. All right, we're back. Rain died down last night, still a bit of a mist today. Significant drop in water levels. I think some of this is actually going to be passable, so let's go see what we can find. Whoa. Well, maybe not.
Yeah. Tiptoe, maybe.
Oh, that's steep, Dad. That's steep.
Dang it. Yes, I know. Squeaky belt.
So this guy, he was coming out here to try the same thing. He's been out here for about 3 years, I think he said, with the Coast Guard, and this was the highest they've ever seen the water. So confirmation, not a good day to give that a try, but man, that's just the risk that you run. All right, let's go try something else. With the first trail on our list still flooded, we headed back to another crossing to see if the levels had improved. Today, things were much lower and clearer, so we could see what looked like a viable route through the deep spots and hidden rocks. Still, this was our last day on the island, and the inbound ferry wasn't going to wait on us if we got stuck. So, after some deliberation, we opted to do the responsible thing. Just kidding. We decided to send it.
Yeah, here on the last day, finally getting across. Oh, I didn't think we were going to get to see this piece of it.
Yeah, agreed.
While we've definitely seen worse crossings before, we were glad we didn't push it on the day before, because there was a nasty hole with large rocks where I would have ended up. Now, with the clock ticking, we had about an hour of exploring before we needed to put the pedal down for the ferry ride. So, we pulled up some of the World War II fortifications on satellite imagery, thanks to our onboard Starlink internet, and began making our way to the coast along narrow, seldom used trails. It wasn't long before we stumbled upon the best emplacement yet.
So awesome.
Wow.
Yeah.
This bunker held a little surprise for us because it had not one, but two levels. And after slipping down an overgrown footpath, we headed into the darkness. This place would be the perfect set for a horror film. And I'd be lying if I said I didn't get a few goosebumps as we explored it by cell phone light.
Deer bone down in there.
You know that one game on Roblox, Claire? I know you've played it, but like, it's like this long hallway and there's all this like graffiti doors.
I like the way they just blew it up, you know?
Yeah.
The place.
Well, you know there's got to be pieces scattered all over. Man, that's a chunk. All right, folks, we got to put the pedal down. We're pushing it for the ferry now. Oh, I'm glad we made it across that stream, though. This was worth it.
It's scary.
Wow. This is where a horror film should be filmed. Just saying.
Lost a little bit of history that's just left alone.
I know, right?
As we drove back across the island to catch the ferry, we were so glad that we at least got to see the last of the fortifications on our bucket list, but we were a little wistful that the only bears we had spotted so far were in Walmart. But Kodiak had one last parting gift for us as we neared the harbor. A young, very hungry Kodiak bear had awoken from his hibernation and was scouring the river bottom for salmon who would soon return to fill his belly. With our Kodiak experience having left a lasting impression on us that we won't soon forget, we joined the line of cars to await our turn to load for the long overnight ride back to Homer. Caroline and I have been on the road for almost 3 weeks now. While the video calls with my wife Sarah and baby Abigail helped us stay in touch during our travels, we were ready to be together again on some family adventures. And so, we wish Kodiak farewell, but promise to return again in hopes of finishing those flooded trails and spending some time with even more Kodiak bears.
Homer in approximately 1/2 hour.
Well, that, my friend, was the best chicken sandwich I've ever had.
Agreed. And in a random place.
What's it called?
Boatyard Cafe.
And, true to its name, it's actually in the boatyard. Amazing. Carne asada fries were amazing. Carne asada tacos, off the charts. Chicken sandwich, sorry Sarah, but that was the best one ever. There it is. Look them up if you're ever in Homer. Now, time to get back to Craig's house, detail these rigs up, and get ready to fly back to start another project. Woohoo! Woo, baby girl.
That was interesting.
4,245 miles. Father-daughter trip.
Father-daughter trip.
After making it back to Anchorage, Craig and I joined the guys with the Alaska Project for a podcast to chat about our Alaskan experiences. If you're interested, you can find that conversation in the link below. Then it was time to clean up Aspen and get her ready for her first rental. I was nothing short of impressed with this build during our travels north, and I can't wait for other folks to come and see this beautiful land in her fully kitted form. If you're interested in an Alaskan overland experience, then head to explore.rent, where you can reserve your next adventure without the long drive from the lower 48. Even more options are available at alaskaoverlander.com, where if you use code LIFESTYLE, you can get $100 off your rental. After a heavy session of gear Tetris, Caroline and I were whisked off to the airport to make our mercifully short flights back to Utah. In case you haven't noticed, these girls have become the best of friends over the years, and so parting ways has become harder and harder with each visit. But hopefully, we'll be back real soon for another trip across the last frontier.
They say gardens are for growing so much more than roses, but you like the way they look. They say dancing is for parties, but you'd rather do it always. So I twirl you around the kitchen while we cook. I wanna do anything you want to. I wanna do anything you want to.
Thanks again for riding along with us on this father-daughter trip to Kodiak Island. We hope you'll subscribe if you haven't already and follow along on the next adventure. And to our patrons, thank you so much for your support on Patreon. None of this would be possible without your generosity and belief in what we do. Until next time, stay curious, and remember to leave it better than you found it.
I wanna do anything you want to. If you wanna go, we can. Stay here and just hold hands. I'm all in, yes I am, no doubt about it.
Well, baby girl, we made it.
We did.
What a trip.
Barely.
You ready to get home to see your puppy?
Yes!
Had a good time with you.
I did too.
It's a good father-daughter trip.
It was.
I wanna do anything you want to. I wanna do anything you want to.